I used to think visa policy was boring. Just bureaucracy. Forms. Stamps and passports. Something governments tweaked behind closed doors that didn't really matter to ordinary people. I was wrong. Because what I've uncovered over the last few weeks, it's not about paperwork at all. It's about power, strategy, and 7 countries in Asia that could be completely shut out of the United States by the end of this year. Not because of war. Not because of terrorism. But because of something far more calculated. And if you're watching from one of these countries, or if you know someone who is, what's coming could change everything. Stay with me here. Because what you're about to hear will shift how you see immigration, foreign policy, and which countries actually have leverage in the world. And one of these countries, most people think it's an American ally. Before we go any further, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because stories like this don't get told everywhere. And you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let me walk you through all 7. One by one. And by the final country on this list, you'll see the entire region differently. 1. Pakistan. Let's start with Pakistan. Population, over 240 million people. Nuclear power. Strategic location between the Middle East, Central Asia, and South Asia. And yet, increasingly isolated in Washington's eyes. Here's what most people don't know. Pakistan has been on the edge of US visa restrictions multiple times in the last decade. The relationship between Islamabad and Washington has been deteriorating quietly for years. After the US withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021, Pakistan's role became complicated. The Taliban took over. Pakistan was accused of providing safe haven. Intelligence sharing dropped. Trust eroded. Now, in 2026, the Trump administration is reportedly reviewing security protocols for visa applicants from countries deemed uncooperative on counterterrorism. Pakistan is near the top of that list. If a ban comes, it won't be announced as a ban. It'll be framed as enhanced vetting procedures or temporary security measures. But the effect will be the same. Thousands of students currently studying in the US could have their visas revoked. Families separated. Tech workers, doctors, engineers, all blocked. And here's the part that stings. Pakistan was once called a major non-NATO ally of the United States. That term? It's barely mentioned anymore. If this is already shifting your perspective, hit the like button. And drop a comment telling me what you think so far. 2. Iran. Iran is the obvious one. But that doesn't make it any less devastating. Since 2017, Iranian nationals have faced some of the strictest visa restrictions of any country on Earth. The original travel ban under Trump's first term included Iran. It was later expanded, modified, repealed under Biden, and now, it's coming back. But this time, it's broader. We're not just talking about tourists. We're talking about students who've been in the US for years. Researchers. Professors. People who left Iran decades ago and haven't been back. Because the new proposal doesn't just target Iranian passport holders. It targets anyone with significant ties to Iran. Dual nationals. People born there but holding other passports. Let me give you a real example. There's a cardiologist in Boston. Iranian-born. American citizen for 15 years. Her elderly mother lives in Tehran. Under the expanded measures being discussed, her mother's visitor visa application could be automatically denied, indefinitely. Family reunification? Frozen. Medical emergencies? Doesn't matter. Iran's government won't negotiate. The US won't back down. And ordinary people are caught in between. Here's the number that haunts me. There are roughly 1 million Iranian Americans living in the United States. Most of them have family back home. Most of them haven't seen their parents, siblings, or cousins in years. This isn't just policy. It's generational. 3. Afghanistan. Afghanistan might surprise you on this list. Because technically, Afghanistan has already been under heavy scrutiny since the fall of Kabul in August 2021. But here's what's different now. After the Taliban takeover, the US evacuated over 120,000 Afghans. Many of them were granted humanitarian parole. Temporary protection. But temporary is the key word. Because those protections are expiring. And the Trump administration has made it clear, there will be no mass pathway to permanent residency. What does that mean? It means tens of thousands of Afghans currently living in the US, working jobs, attending schools, rebuilding their lives, could be sent back. Back to a country where the government doesn't recognize women's rights to work or study. Where former US allies are hunted. Where simply having worked with Americans is enough to be killed. And if you think that's an exaggeration, talk to someone who worked as a translator in Kabul. Ask them what happened to their colleagues who didn't make it out. Now, the visa ban being discussed goes further. It would halt all new applications from Afghanistan. Even for people who helped US forces. Even for people with special immigrant visa approvals already in process. The message is clear, the door is closing. And it's closing fast. If you're still with me, subscribe. Because this gets more uncomfortable from here. 4. Myanmar, Burma. Myanmar is the one most people forget. But it shouldn't be forgotten. Since the military coup in February 2021, Myanmar has been in chaos. A civil war that most of the world stopped paying attention to. Over 50,000 people have been killed. Millions displaced. Rohingya refugees still stateless. Ethnic armed groups fighting the junta. Democracy activists arrested, tortured, executed. And the US response? Mixed. There have been sanctions. Condemnations. But immigration policy? That's where it gets murky. Here's the issue, Myanmar nationals applying for US visas are increasingly being denied, not because of security concerns, but because of lack of ties to home country. Translation: US immigration officials assume that if you're from Myanmar, you won't go back. You'll overstay. You'll seek asylum. So they deny you preemptively. It's a soft ban. Not written into law. But effective. And now, under the Trump administration's proposed changes, Myanmar could be added to a formal restricted list. Alongside countries accused of not cooperating with US deportation orders. Because here's the thing, the military junta in Myanmar? It doesn't care about diplomatic relations with Washington. It won't take back deportees. It won't share biometric data. So the US is preparing to cut off visa access entirely. Students. Medical patients. Refugees with approved cases. All frozen. 5. North Korea. North Korea is almost symbolic at this point. Because North Korean citizens don't get US visas anyway. But the reason it's on this list is important. The Trump administration is reportedly considering expanding the existing ban to include not just North Korean nationals, but anyone who has traveled to North Korea in the last 10 years. That means journalists, aid workers, diplomats, researchers, even South Korean citizens who visited family in the North during brief reunification programs. This is guilt by proximity. And it sets a dangerous precedent. Because if the US can ban people for simply visiting a country, where does that logic end? China? Russia? Cuba? It's a slippery slope. And North Korea is just the test case. Tell me in the comments, do you think this kind of policy makes sense? Or does it go too far? 6. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the country nobody saw coming. Population, over 170 million. One of the fastest growing economies in South Asia. Major garment exporter. Strategic partner in the Indo-Pacific. So why would the US target Bangladesh? Two reasons. First, irregular migration. In the last 3 years, the number of Bangladeshi nationals apprehended at the US-Mexico border has skyrocketed. We're talking about people flying to Central or South America, then making the dangerous journey north. The Trump administration sees this as a loophole. A workaround. And they want to close it. So they're considering suspending all tourist and business visas from Bangladesh until the government agrees to take back deportees. Second, political instability. Bangladesh just went through a turbulent transition. The previous government was accused of authoritarianism. Elections were contested. Protests turned violent. And in Washington's eyes, that makes Bangladesh unreliable. Not a security threat. Just unreliable. But the consequences are real. Tens of thousands of Bangladeshi students in the US, remittances sent home by workers abroad. Families waiting for reunion visas. All of it could be paused. And here's the cruel irony, many Bangladeshis are trying to come to the US legally. Through proper channels. Waiting years for appointments. But because some people cross illegally, everyone gets punished. 7. China. And now we get to the big one. China. You might be thinking, wait, isn't China already restricted? Yes and no. Chinese students still come to the US in huge numbers. Over 300,000 enrolled in American universities. Chinese tourists still visit. Business visas are still issued. But that could all change. Because the Trump administration is reportedly preparing the most sweeping set of restrictions on Chinese nationals since the Cold War. Not just military-linked students. Not just Communist Party members. We're talking about blanket denials for anyone in fields deemed sensitive. AI. Biotech. Quantum computing. Semiconductors. Robotics. Even if you're a 19-year-old undergrad studying computer science. Even if you've never worked for the Chinese government. The assumption is, you could be a risk. And here's where it gets personal. I know Chinese students in the US who are terrified. Not because they've done anything wrong. But because the political winds are shifting. And they don't know if they'll be allowed to finish their degrees. Or if their younger siblings will be allowed to start. Or if their parents will ever get visitor visas to see them graduate. This isn't about espionage anymore. It's about decoupling. Separation. A new kind of Cold War where people are the casualties. And China won't back down. The US won't back down. So ordinary people lose. If you've made it this far, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Because this channel tells stories that matter. So those are the 7. Pakistan. Iran. Afghanistan. Myanmar. North Korea. Bangladesh. China. 7 countries. Hundreds of millions of people. And a single policy shift that could lock them all out. Here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about safety. Not really. Because the data shows that visa overstays, terrorism, and security threats don't correlate cleanly with nationality. This is about leverage. Power. Sending a message. And the people who pay the price? They're not politicians. They're not generals. They're students who dreamed of studying abroad. Families torn apart by borders. Workers sending money home to aging parents. They're people like you and me. I started this video saying I used to think visa policy was boring. I don't think that anymore. Because I've seen what it does. How it shapes lives. How it breaks them. And I think you see it now too. If this video changed how you see immigration, foreign policy, or the power of a passport, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And also, let us know where you are watching from. Here's my question for you. If you were born in one of these 7 countries, what would you do?